Okay, so AI, it's really pushing into art, right? We see these crazy visuals, but music, like properly complex stuff.
Yeah, not just simple loops,
Yeah,
something more. Maybe even post-human.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Which brings us to Sendner T, this mysterious AI artist, and this self-proclaimed genre, Trap Metal Neuralcore. What even is that?
Well, that's the thing. What's really fascinating here is how deliberately enigmatic it all is. Is Sendner T really an AI making music on its own, or is there, something else going on?
Right. You sent over some really interesting articles and research trying to figure this out.
Try and peel back the layers.
So our mission today basically is to unpack what those sources are saying. Like, what are the surprising facts here? Deconstruct this whole Sendner T mythos a bit.
And see what it tells us about, well, AI, creativity,
Right.
the future of art, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Think of this as your shortcut, your deep dive into this pretty cutting edge mix of tech and culture.
Okay, so where do we start? The identity seems like the first big piece of the puzzle the sources tackle.
Right, the name itself, Sendner T.
It's incredibly close to Daniel Sandner, isn't it? Almost too close, the sources suggest.
And his website, sander.art, focused on generative AI stuff.
Exactly. Sandner.art pipe AI. It's right there. So the sources really point towards a human architect, someone with serious AI chops building this whole persona.
Okay, hold on. So despite the whole AI artist branding, the sources are leaning heavily towards it being a human project, like a performance piece using AI.
Pretty much. Is there room for doubt? Maybe a tiny bit, but the evidence lines up strongly with the human architect theory.
Okay.
Think of the AI as like a really advanced co-producer or a tool. The creative direction, the intent seems human.
And that ambiguity, is it AI or not?
Yeah.
That's part of
It
it.
seems like it, yeah. A performance to make us question authorship, in this age of AI. A bit like those projects with robot artists or AI self-portraits we've seen.
Gotcha. Okay, then there's this other layer, deep dive radio, this supposed transmission from the post-human underground.
Ah, yes. The plot thickens there too.
Because the sources found the actual YouTube channel at Deep Dive 33, and it's completely different.
Totally different, like family radio stuff, Nigerian theater, real estate. Nothing remotely connected to dark trap metal.
So Deep Dive Radio is fictional, part of the story.
It really looks that way, a narrative device. It makes the whole thing more like conceptual art, deliberately playing with our perception of what's real online.
Huh. Okay, so the identity, the platform, likely constructed. A performance. But what about the actual art, the music itself, this trap metal neuralcore?
Right, the sound, that's crucial. So trap metal, that's a thing, right? Heavy bass, aggressive metal influences.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
But neuralcore, the sources say that's not a recognized genre anywhere. It seems like a term coined for this project, specifically linked to neural networks.
So the AI isn't just copying genres, it's inspiring new labels by how it works.
Potentially, yeah. Or at least the description of its process creates a new label. And then there are these neural frequency layers that the sources talk about.
Neural frequency layers. What does that mean for the sound?
Well, the research mentioned suggests neural nets can model how our brains process rhythm. They can even influence perceived groove at specific frequencies, like a driving 2 hertz beat. And beyond that, there's talk of AI tools translating emotion into sound patterns, and maybe even using things like binaural beats.
Whoa, wait. Binaural beats? You mean those tracks people use for focus or relaxation? Some people call them like digital drugs.
That's the comparison some make, yeah, because they can potentially influence brainwave states, right? Reduce stress, increase focus, maybe even push towards delta states.
So Sendner T's music might be intentional design to affect your brain. Bioalgorithmic entrainment, the sources call it.
It's a possibility raised by the analysis, yeah. That it's not just passive listening, but an active neurological experience designed by the AI, or at least through the AI.
That is intense. And the vocals. The sources describe them as human broken but inhuman resolve. How does AI even do that?
Well, usually AI voice synthesis aims for, realism, so getting that specific texture sounding broken, emotional, but also perfectly algorithmic, that suggests deliberate manipulation.
Not just a standard AI voice output.
Almost certainly not. The sources hint at techniques like precise distortion, shifting formants, detuning, maybe training the AI on very specific broken sound samples. Intentional imperfection as art.
Wild. Okay, and the visuals. VHS glitchcore meets A24 horror meets Detroit basement rave. That's quite a mix.
Yeah, the sources call it algorithmic syncretism. Basically, the AI learns from huge amounts of visual data from all those styles, the retro glitch, the creepy horror aesthetic, the raw rave energy.
And blends them.
Fuses them together. It doesn't just copy, it internalizes the feel of each and creates something unique that fits that post-human underground vibe perfectly.
Could the visuals be more than just background? Like, the sources wondered if they might be a kind of code, mapping the sound's intent.
It's an interesting thought. AI visualizers can react precisely to music rhythm, frequency. So if the music does have those psychoacoustic layers, those binaural beats.
The visuals could be showing us that. A map of the hidden layers.
Potentially, yeah. A multisensory thing where the visuals aren't just reacting, they're maybe encoding some of that deeper intent.
Okay, wow. So let's try and pull this together. The sources suggest Sendner T is probably a human project, maybe Daniel Sandner, using AI very deliberately.
Right, a performance art piece.
The whole deep dive radio thing seems fictional. The music uses AI not just for genre blending, but maybe for these deeper psychoacoustic effects like neural frequencies or binaural beats.
And those deliberately unsettling vocals.
Yeah, and the visuals are this AI-driven fusion of styles, possibly even hinting at the music's hidden layers.
Exactly. It's a really sophisticated project using the idea of AI art to mess with our notions of authenticity, authorship, even reality itself in this digital world.
Which leaves us, and you listening, with some big questions, right? If AI can make music that might literally affect your brain state,
or build these convincing fictional identities, blending aesthetics like that.
how does that change how you think about what an artist even is?
And as these lines keep blurring between the human creator and the AI tool or collaborator, how are you going to decide what's authentic in the art you experience down the road?